maybe, yeah. Assume this. The boom operator today.
Colonel Pete Fessler. My duty title at home station is the commander of the 1st Fighter Wing, but for here at Red Flag, I'm the Air Expeditionary Wing Commander.
And then, so Colonel Fessler, what are the most unique aspects of this year's Red Flag?
Well, this one's unique because it's the first time we've had the F-35 participate in Red Flag. So we've got, in addition to the normal array of F-15s, F-16s, and recently F-22s, we're now adding in the F-35. And this Red Flag also has our coalition partners, the Australians and the United Kingdom. Britain brought their aircraft as well. I'll tell you that Red Flag is more than just an air-to-air exercise, it's also an air-to-ground exercise. So we're doing not only attacks against aircraft to establish air superiority, but attacks against targets on the ground. The reason we need to train in a realistic environment is that we need to prepare our pilots, our air crew, our space operators, our cyber operators for their combat missions. And the only way to do that is to train them in a realistic environment. It's like putting on your pads and training full up for a football game before you go to the Super Bowl. We're unlikely to go to war in the future without our coalition partners. I think the chances of the United States going it alone are slim to none. So we need to learn how to fight and execute with our coalition partners on the first night of the war. Well, it's in our slogan: airspace and cyberspace. These are the domains that we operate in. We operate from the surface up to high geostationary orbit. All of the capabilities that we have in those domains, when combined, produce enhanced effects. The effects that we generate are more lethal. They're more effective against our adversary. We can fight a war in an air domain only, but we are more effective when you add in the capacity that we get through the cyber domain or the space domain. So this is a bit new to us, but the F-22 and the F-35 were originally designed from the outset to operate together. This is what they were built for. The F-22 was supposed to escort the F-35 against targets on the ground. So this is the first time to actually put that together. We've done small-scale exercises, but this is the first time where we've taken the F-22, the F-35, and all of those capabilities that the Air Forces of the United States, Australia, and the United Kingdom can bring to bear, put them all together in the airspace at the same time and fight against a realistic threat. Well, that's just it. It's integration. The very word you used is what I hope to gain out of this. And I've been talking to all of the operators who've been here about that since the onset. A lot of times in our business, we tend to operate in stovepipes. The cyber operators have their area of expertise. The air breathing, the fighter pilots have their area of expertise. The space operators have their areas of expertise, and they rarely cross streams. Because of that, when we plan, occasionally we tend to plan in those stovepipes. The fighter pilots plan out their mission, the space operators plan out their mission, etc. And what I'm asking these guys to do is from the outset to start their planning together. So it's integrated at the very outset so that you can achieve those effects that I talked about on the battlefield. The same reason I said that I talked about before when you asked about the importance of coalition, training with our coalition partners applies to the command structure. We are unlikely to go to war as the United States by itself. We're going to fight with our coalition partners. Because of that, we need to become accustomed to command and control with our coalition partners. Out of the total force here, nearly 600 of the folks deployed for Red Flag are actually from the United Kingdom, so it makes complete sense for my deputy to be a Royal Air Force officer. That's a great question. So my first Red Flag was in actually January of 1998, I believe, and in that Red Flag we had F-15s, F-16s, RAF Tornadoes, and a smattering of other aircraft, A-10s, etc. That was a almost purely conventional air fight. There were no fifth-gen assets, no stealth assets involved at all. We had, and in that fight, my job as a wingman was to stay visual with my flight lead. He would get me to the merge with the adversary, and if I did everything right, I would get in a within visual range encounter. That's changed significantly. The wingmen that we have out there now are air battle managers from a fighter cockpit. In the F-22 and the F-35, with the sensor suite that they have and the integration, they can actually see the battlefield in a way that I was never capable of in the F-15C that I was operating then. So the first part of it is just the level of expectation of the aircrew. Now the effects that we're generating right now, bringing the F-22 and the F-35 into it, well, they're low observable aircraft. So the fighters, the adversaries that we have looking for us, they can't very easily detect us. And so in a fight in 1997, everybody saw everybody else coming, and it arrived at the merge, and you got into initially beyond visual range, but eventually within visual range combat. Now your adversaries know roughly where you are, but they don't know exactly where you are, and that applies to both the F-22 and the F-35. So now our fighter pilots are being air battle managers as they drive to that merge, and they're usually approaching our adversaries undetected. And that's a capability that's not only against an air-to-air threat, but it's against a surface-to-air threat as well. That low observable technology that the F-22 and the F-35 possess is effective against surface-to-air missiles as well. So it's a pretty significant change from where we were 20 or so years ago when I started flying in red flag for the first time.
We had some pretty high expectations, I think, for the jet from ourselves, who knew what it could do. But we heard from other friends who fly their jets what their expectations were. I think we were able to meet and exceed those expectations. One of the guys I get to know here flies Eurofighters, and so we just got done talking about each of our jets and the fact that we got to fly these last 3 weeks together. And he told me that his expectation, he didn't know what to expect out of the F-35 when he first came here. And so after week 1, he started realizing how much we could do. And then by week 2, once he started seeing how many SAM takedowns and going deep, as he called it, downtown into the mez, and be able to take those threats out, he realized how much this jet can do. So I think across the Air Force and across our global partners, we've been able to show that this jet really can do a lot of things that we've said it can do. So some of the advantages that we bring in survivability and interoperability with other fighters in this battle space include the sensor fusion. So sensor fusion's a buzzword, but it's a real thing. The jet is able to see and use a lot of sensors on board and off board to put together a pretty incredible threat laydown. The situational awareness that it provides to the pilot is absolutely incredible, and being able to use that helps us survive, but also helps others survive. So we're able to find those threats, we're able to pass those threats to other 4th Gen assets, and oftentimes we're able to work with them to target especially SAM systems on the ground where we're able to use their bombs, help them be more survivable, and us be able to use our low observability, our stealth technology, and get in there closer to get those that threat laydown. We're working here at Red Flag with our global partners, the Australians and the Brits, some of our closest allies. With the F-35, I think we've been able to show them that all of our forces can work together to be more lethal against other threats around the world. Flying in this red flag with this jet has built a lot of confidence, I think in all of us, but especially myself. I feel like this jet is much more survivable, but it's very lethal. So the fact that we can go deep into the mez and be able to take out those targets, and then to be able to get out of there and then populate more targets for our 4th Gen assets while we're providing support for them, is what makes this thing such an incredible aircraft and so vital to our current Air Force. This jet's incredible to fly. It's a great jet. It's a fighter. There's been a lot of, I think, misperceptions about the fact of what it can do. As we continue to push the envelope and open up some restrictions on it, we're seeing more and more of the capabilities develop. And as we continue to develop more and better tactics, more suited to the aircraft, I think we're learning how much it can do. Up to this point, we've really been limited by the fact that we're still testing so many things out, and so we've been learning what the aircraft is good at and what it's not good at. We're passing that data back, and we're getting a better jet for it. Going forward with new threats and looking forward to future possible wars, this is the jet we need to be talking about.